pa sa ni re sa ni sa pa ma ga da pa sa ni re sa ni sa pa ma ga ma pa da ni da pa pa ma pa ga. Just in case your portfolio has become Besurila like hers, don't worry, you're not alone. If you want to know the top 5 reasons as to why this could have happened, check out the full video. Hey folks, CA Rachana Ranade here and I welcome you all to this very interesting video, and let's dive right away into reason 1, which is holding too many small caps, mid caps or momentum stocks in your portfolio. Now to understand this reason, let's do a little bit of flashback and understand what were the returns back in 23-24. Now if I'm talking about Nifty returns, the returns were somewhere between 7 to 8% for Nifty stocks, and for small caps and mid caps the returns were somewhere between 16 to 17%. So for any fresher in this area of stock market, that person may surely have believed that the true way to make wealth in stock market is by investing in mid caps or small caps, and some may have gone to the extent of even buying penny stocks. Now this was what that had happened in 23-24. What happened in 25? So if I'm talking about calendar year 25 returns, unfortunately the rally that we have seen in the recent past is not a broad based rally. In fact, Nifty 50 gave a return of barely 9%. Mid caps barely moved by 3%, and in fact small caps have given a negative return of almost 9%. Now, in this case, if someone had invested in penny stocks, wow, with penny stocks with an intention to become multi baggers, I'm sure these stocks might have made that person multi beggars. So, I hope, people don't invest a big chunk in penny stocks because they could destroy your wealth to a great extent. But then, what is the solution? Could it be like totally avoiding small caps? Could it be totally avoiding mid caps? Answer is obviously no. The solution for this, how to avoid this mistake, can be having a proper asset allocation. Now if I were to give you an example, let's say this is how your portfolio is. 50% could be around investments in large caps, 30% could be around investment in mid caps, whereas a 20% exposure could be given to small caps. This asset allocation will differ from person to person depending on the risk appetite, but whatever asset allocation I've given you, this could be for a medium risk taker category person. Okay, now, okay, you've understood about the cap wise category. What about sectoral category? Typically, it is said that if you are, and again, an average risk taker with average knowledge about the market, you may go ahead with something like maximum 20% allocation to a high conviction sector of yours. Just as an example, if you believe that defense is a very good sector to watch out for the next 3 to 5 years, still your maximum allocation for defense should not be more than 20%. If you are someone who treats yourself as an expert in stock market, maybe the sectoral allocation could be shared higher than 25% in that case. Okay, now that was about a sectoral allocation. What about stocks allocation? Now here the important point is that neither your diversification should be extremely high nor it should be extremely concentrated. So if I'm talking about concentration, there could be some amazing people who may say, I have like a one stock portfolio, 100% conviction on a single stock. That's not the way you invest in stock market, right? It should be a very nicely diversified portfolio. Typically, if you ask me, you should have something like a 15-20 stocks in your portfolio. That can be a good diversification. There could be some rathi maharathis of stock market who may say, I have 100 stocks in my portfolio. When are you going to track those? So if it is about over diversification, still they are not going to give you good returns. If it's an extremely concentrated portfolio, if you are on the correct side, it may give you returns, but it comes at massive risk. So you should ensure that you have a good diversification in your portfolio. Now, just now I mentioned that if you are a beginner, this should be your allocation. If you are an expert, this could be your allocation. But the question is, how do you level up yourself from a beginner level to an advanced level investor? And for that, we have so many courses on our website. We have beginner level courses, we have intermediate level courses, we also have advanced level courses. But just in case if you feel I would want to watch few free lectures first, just go to the stock market tab, go to the category tab. Here you will have demo lectures, and that's what you will see. So many free lectures are available on our website. If you specifically want to up your game for fundamental analysis, you can enroll for this free lecture. And here in this lecture I've taught about ratio analysis, specifically something like P ratio or an inventory turnover ratio. and how these ratios impact the fundamentals of the company. So always remember that investing in knowledge pays you the best returns. So without any delay, enroll for our free lectures. Link is there in the pinned comment and in the description box below. Now let's move on with the second reason, which is holding stocks in underperforming sectors. Now, what do I exactly mean by that? For that, let me tell you a very basic point of fundamental analysis. There are two approaches. One is called as bottom up approach, and the second approach is called as a top down approach. Now, what is this? If you see, the top layer is about economic analysis, the mid layer is about industry analysis, and finally, it is about company analysis. Now, if the economy itself is not performing well, please don't expect that your stocks will perform well or some sectors will perform well. Ideally, it will be underperformance at a massive level if economy is not performing well. Okay, now let's take an example that okay, economy is performing well. What about the sector? Now let's say the sector was performing well up until something happened. Let's take the example of IT industry. Up until AI came into picture, IT industry was performing really well. But when AI started to flow in and news about different AI platforms started to come in, IT sector is one sector which has massively underperformed in the past 1 year. And in this case, if you're talking about sectors, if you're talking about stocks which are related to IT sector, there are great chances that these stocks will not perform very well. Of course, we will have some leaders in that category, we will have some laggards in that category, but all in all, if a sector itself is not performing well, don't expect that the stocks in your portfolio will perform well if the sector is not doing well, right? So let me give you an example of that. Let's say IT is down by almost 12.5%. I'm talking about year to date returns. If I'm talking about realty, 18% downfall. FMCG, 4% downfall. PSC, public sector enterprise stocks, it is almost 0.09% return, which is like a flattish return. But if I'm talking about September 24 to date, it's a 19% correction. So again, I'm talking about the same point. If your portfolio consists of stocks which belong to these sectors, there is a great chance that your stocks are not performing well. Okay, so this was about reason number 2. Now let's move on with reason number 3, which is buying fundamentally strong stocks at the wrong time. Now, what do I mean by this? Again, I'll quote the same example about IT stocks. Just before AI, if someone had asked you that, what do you feel? How is Infosys? How is TCS? Okay, whatever stock names I'm going to quote in this video, needless to say, but these are not stock recommendations. These are taken only and only for example purposes. Okay, so if someone asked that, how is TCS? How is Infosys? Could someone have said it's a fundamentally bhangar company? No one would have said that. It's a fundamentally strong company. But then, if someone would have bought it after the AI pain started, that's a point where the person might have bought it at the wrong time, and that person might have faced losses in such stocks. Quoting you one more example on that. Let's say something like a Dixon Technologies. If someone had bought it from an IPO, I'm sure that person might be sitting on some amazing returns. But if you're talking about the recent past, Dixon Technologies has performed pretty badly. So again, like something like we say that in Hindi, that इंसान गलत नहीं है लेकिन उसका वक्त बुरा चल रहा है. Something like that. The stock may not be fundamentally bad, but currently it's not performing well. So that could be one more reason that your stocks in your portfolio might have disappointed you. So your portfolio may or may not disappoint you, but please don't disappoint the like button. Please smash that right away. Moving on to reason number 4 right away, which is not understanding macroeconomics. Now, few people feel that economics and stock market, they are totally unrelated. Well, that's not right. A lot of macroeconomic factors do impact the stock market. A lot of global news can also impact the stock market. Now, if I were to give you an example, a person who has been making headlines since last so many months or years, I may say, Tatya, everyone knows about him. And he has been imposing so much tariffs across the globe. Now, if you're talking about a country like India, where he imposed a lot of tariffs on textiles, don't you think that companies which belong to this sector may have underperformed? Answer is obviously yes. So if I were to just again quote few examples, if I'm talking about stocks like, let's say, Arvind Limited, Gokul Das Exports, or if I'm talking about Kitex Garments, all these stocks are down by more than 20%. Now, if some person might have said that macroeconomics doesn't impact stock market and I'll still keep on holding to these stocks, then there is a case that those stocks in your portfolio which belong to such sectors, they might have surely underperformed. So what will you do as a solution to this? Nothing, just pray that these tariffs will be rolled back. When these tariffs roll back again, it'll be like ache then for all these sectors, right? I'll give you one more example on a positive note now. I'm sure everyone knows about the RBI rate cut. Whenever there is a rate cut, there'll be money available at cheaper prices. Now let's understand a typical point about NBFC sector. Typically, I'm saying typically, okay. NBFCs buy, or I must say borrow is the right word. NBFCs borrow typically at floating rates, and they pass on or they lend money at fixed rates. So I'll give you a simple example. Let's take an example of Bajaj Finance, okay. Bajaj Finance assume borrows money at a floating rate. So when there is a rate cut, their borrowing cost will go down. If borrowing cost goes down for them, is it going to be good point for them? Absolutely yes. But whenever they are lending money, they have already entered into agreements that they will lend money at fixed rates. So if that be so, can I say their NIMs are net interest margins, can they go up? Answer is yes. Okay. But does this mean that all NBFCs will be like this? Answer is no. There could be certain NBFCs which may follow a mixed thing. For I'll give you an example of REC only. So REC has a mix impact. Something like they have borrowed money at fixed rate when it is about long term borrowing. For short term, they have borrowed on floating rate, and whenever they have lent money, they have also lent it some at fixed and some at floating. Okay, so I hope you have understood this point, that if you have entered stocks which are into the NBFC category and which fit into the favorable position, definitely those stocks might be shining in your portfolio. So I hope you have very clearly understood that there is a very clear relation between macroeconomics and stock market. Let's move on with reason number 5, which could be running behind hot stocks. Now, what is this? Typically, people love to enter into those stocks which are making headlines, which are in news. If I'm talking about something like a Nifty 200 Momentum 30 Index, it has given a minus 4.55% year to date return. Now, what does that tell? Stocks which are into, stocks which get categorized as hot stocks, which are into hype cycles, they might have given massive returns in a specific time frame, but if they have already given massive returns, they are bound for a correction. Let me again give you a quick example. Something like Trent, which made headlines everywhere last year. If I'm talking about Jupiter Wagons, if I'm talking about Tejas Networks, all these will qualify under stocks which were making headlines every now and then. But any such stock which has made massive returns, they are bound to come down. So if you are having such stocks in your portfolio, and unfortunately if you have entered these stocks somewhere at the end of the hype cycle, I'm sure these stocks might be in pain in your portfolio. Okay, but does this mean that all momentum stocks are bad? Answer is no. What should you do ideally in such cases is, whenever you are entering into a stock purely based on momentum, these are like swing trades you should be doing. Even if you're taking a positional trade purely based on momentum, you should have a target price, you should have a stop loss in place. Just don't say that this is going to be a part of my core portfolio. No, if it is momentum stock, you should have a target price, you should have a stop loss as well. Now what happens with such stocks is, typically you will have separate winners in different rallies. Now what am I saying? I'll give you a simple IPL example. Okay, now if I tell you that Virat Kohli will perform well in, has he performed well right from first IPL till right now? Answer is absolutely no. Every IPL will have a different star batsman every year, but there could be few players who have consistently performed or outperformed for 3-4 years. Not every player will perform in every IPL. Similarly, not every stock will perform in every rally. Correct? I hope you get the correlation. So if I were to give you a few examples again for the year 2023, if I were to name few stocks again as examples, something like Bajaj Auto, NTPC, Coal India, Larsen and Toubro, Hero Motocorp, Eicher Motors, these were like few star performers of 23. Did these names repeat in 24? Not really. Some new winners came up. Something like a Trent, Mahindra and Mahindra, Bharti Airtel, Sun Pharma, Shriram Finance, or maybe Tech Mahindra, HCL Technologies. These were few winners in 2024. What about 25? It was something like Bajaj Finance, Bharat Electronics, L&T Finance, or Maruti Suzuki. These were the outliers in 25. So all in all, if I were to wrap up this point, just remember that every rally will have new winners. Unfortunately, if your portfolio is Besurilla right now, there is a chance that you don't have the winners that have performed in this rally. You could have had winners from the past. So what is the mantra here? You'll have to be patient. You just can't have the FOMO every single time. You can't be sitting in the right bus every single time. Well, today I took the names of a lot of stocks in today's video. As I mentioned, all these are examples, but just in case if you have any of the stocks in your portfolio, you can just write present ma'am in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care. Jai Hind and bye-bye. You might have come across such advertisements on various social media platforms. Please note, all of these are fraudsters promising unbelievable returns through stock tips. I don't provide any calls or advisory services. I provide only educational content through my social media handles and through my website rachanaranade.com and rachanaranade.in.